If you've watched this show for a while, you know that there is literally nothing I love spending my time on more than pointlessly pointing out hypocrisy, as if hypocrisy matters in literally any way. But we are now in like the perfect season, the perfect storm for hypocrisy, and you knew that it was coming from the second that the news broke that Ruth Bader Ginsburg had regrettably passed away. That all of the Republicans who were saying, how could you possibly, in an election year, put someone on the court? You couldn't. People's voices need to be heard and all that. You knew that it was coming. And I want to demonstrate that. I want to show you some examples of that, but I want to point out one very important thing that is a lesson that needs to be learned for this story and also for, I'm going to say, literally every aspect of politics going forward. They're going to do whatever they can get away with. That's it. There's no shaming. There's no, isn't that inconsistent? Haven't you flipped and or flopped? None of that matters. If they can take power legally or not, they will do it, okay? They don't fear anything. And by the way, why would they? Why would a Republican fear like, well, if it's shown that I was hypocritical in a way that will in the present day benefit Republicans, what are their voters gonna hate them for that? Like that, it just doesn't make any sense. That said, they are being very hypocritical. For instance, take Lindsey Graham, who said, I want you to use my words against me. If there's a Republican president in 2016 and a vacancy occurs in the last year of the first term, you can say Lindsey Graham said, let's let the next president, whoever it might be, make that nomination. Now in 2020, he thinks Trump should do it immediately. Whoever he wants, he should get it. Doesn't matter if it's an hour before the election, he should definitely get it. Tom Tillis back before said, the campaign is already underway. It's essential to the institution of the Senate and the very health of our republic to not launch our nation to a partisan, divisive confirmation battle during the very same time the American people are casting their ballots to elect our next president. That's a wise sentiment. Of course, to be fair, he was saying that when an opening happened nearly a full year before the election, whereas right now, hundreds of thousands of people have already voted in this election. Tom Tillis, supportive of Trump getting whoever he wants. Okay, we're gonna have a bunch more, but Francesca, like the hypocrisy, obviously it's not surprising. What do you think about all this? Is there any point?
There would be a point if Fox News actually aired some of those quotes. Truly, I mean, that is a way to get through to Republican voters, and I do think there is a point if, on a grassroots level, people can reach out to maybe some of those swing state voters or some of their family members and actually mention this, right? Bring it up in conversation. That is fine. Now, I know that the MAGA chuds are way too far down the that rabbit hole to actually come back from it. It doesn't matter to them, but for others it might. For others it might pull them back. So let's not try to win the battle in the media because you're never going to win that battle. Let's not try to win the battle. Yes, in any of these CNN interviews, because you're not going to win that battle. But I do think that the hypocrisy absolutely matters. What also matters is, why don't we have a law stating that you can or cannot nominate a Supreme Court justice in the final year of your presidency? Why, or in an election year? Like, why are we leaving this up to interpretation and using, like, of all the things? I mean, this is the thing that the Trump administration has done, y'all. And this is why November is so important, because our democracy was shaky as is. And then we let a drunk baboon into it and just banging on every single little crack, prying it wide open, just hanging from the rafters. Now everything's falling apart, and now we know, oh hey, we needed to fix that anyway. So these are all the things that we need to child-proof or fascist-proof when we move on, and having a rule about when a Supreme Court justice can be nominated is totally one of them.
Yeah, there should be something, because the thing is, just add this to the pile of norms that our government is supposed to function on. That a lot of the norms were respected for a long time because respecting them gave the ruling elite class what they wanted. It turns out though that as the Republican Party on a daily basis turns further and further away from giving a damn about representative democracy, it's just those don't do anything.
Exactly.
The actual like the literal checks and balances that are written into either federal law or the Constitution, those effectively don't do anything. You think norms are gonna save you? And they can't, because we're unfortunately dealing with, as I tweeted about this weekend, a critical mass of people like this. Senator Richard Shelby, who said this critical decision should be made after the upcoming presidential election so that the American people have a voice. Now, he hasn't yet come out now. This was in 2016. You wanna place bets where he's gonna come out? And again, that's not, well, this is the Biden rule and it's really about that it's exactly 7 months and we have the Senate, so this isn't exactly the same thing. He just said the people should weigh in. 280 plus days out from the election, he said the people should weigh in. We'll see, Richard Shelby, what you got? What you got? Senator John Boozman said, our country is very split and we're in the midst of a highly contested presidential election. My colleagues and I are committed to giving the American people a voice in the direction the court will take for generations to come. Our country is objectively more split than it was, and this is a pretty damn contested election considering that Joe Biden is regularly 8 to 12 points up nationally over Donald Trump. So I'm sure John Boozman is going to factor that in when weighing in on, no, he thinks that they should put Amy Coney Barrett or whatever on the court. Oh, okay, I guess he's changed his mind. Tom Cotton back then said, in a few short months, we will have a new president and new senators who can consider the next justice with the full faith of the people. Why would we cut off the national debate on the next justice? Why would we squelch the voice of the populace? Why would we deny the voters a chance to weigh in on the makeup of the Supreme Court? Okay, well now you have your opportunity. We can do it right now, Tom Cotton, do you want to? No, of course you don't want to. Marco Rubio, little weenie, said then, I don't think we should be moving forward on a nominee in the last year of this president's term. I would say this if it was a Republican president, but would you?
Would you?
Would you? Because you're not. You're not saying that right now. Mitch McConnell, of course, biggest, again, it doesn't matter he's a hypocrite. He's a monster in ways that are far worse than hypocrisy. Says the American people should have a voice in the selection of their next Supreme Court justice. Therefore, this vacancy should not be filled until we have a new president. And of course, he doesn't feel that same way now, but it wasn't just the politicians. Sean Hannity, you can put up the graphic, I'm not gonna read it. He thought that they should wait if it's the last year. Laura Ingraham said, of course, in the last year, you should move forward on it. At the end of the day, all of this, what they said in 2016, what they're saying now is absolutely BS. There's only one honest thing they can say, and Trump is apparently the only one that will say it. Today, Daniel Dale tweeted, Trump says Merrick Garland is an outstanding judge, but Obama didn't have the Senate, and Mitch didn't want to do that. But we have the Senate, so there's a difference. When you have the Senate, you can sort of do what you want. That is it. Power is power. If we can do it, we're gonna do it. If it benefits us, we're jumping in that. We will do whatever we can legally, we will do whatever we can illegally to accumulate as much political power as possible. That's what they're doing. That is the only thing they will ever do. And I think there's a lot of people, basically every single centrist Democrat and quite a few people to the left of them, that need to understand that. Your little fun tricks and games and three-dimensional chess and maybe we hand over power to fascists for 4 to 8 years and maybe someday it'll work out. No, they're taking power, and every single bit of it that they get, they throw up roadblocks and structural obstacles to make it more and more difficult for there to ever be any change. The American government is already filled with that from top to bottom, and it's only getting worse. So if they get this person, and we'll talk about the strategy, good luck, passing progressive legislation for the next 20 years. They'll have a supermajority. They can overrule anything they want. And you might say, well, why would they do that? Wouldn't it have to be unconstitutional? But you think any one of these Republicans is any different than Mitch McConnell on the court, that they're gonna be unbiased, so they're not gonna be partisan? Anyway, Francesca, I apologize. Very mad and a lot of different things. It's triggering me for all of the things that I've been so mad about for literally years, about how stupid and self-destructive some people's political philosophy and strategy is.
No, and I think you're absolutely right, and that's why I think it's important to remember that when you are cynical and when you're nihilistic about the stakes and what is happening right now, you're basically sentencing more children to be in cages and women to have their uteruses removed without their consent in detention centers. You are dooming basically LGBTQ people to regress for 30 years, women's rights to be rolled back 50 years. What we're talking about with the courts, and this is really important, and on all levels, right, from all different federal courts, is a coalescing around authoritarian Christian nationalism. What does that mean? It means that laws are designed to protect quote unquote religious freedom that before were supposed to protect people like, the Muslim community in this country, which is very small, right? But now religious freedom is being twisted to protect Christians and Christianity, which is the majority of religion in this country. Most religious people are Christian, but it's protecting their rights to be able to discriminate, to be able to not hire someone who is gay, to be able to not provide health care to women and reproductive rights and to women, right? It is being used and twisted. The Civil Rights Act, same thing. It's being used by the majority against the minority when these are laws that were established to protect the vulnerable to begin with. So all of this, now on top of that, you've got the oligarchy and dark money and Citizens United, but that's all water under the bridge. Forget about Citizens United. You think we're ever gonna repeal that with a Republican Supreme Court? And I say Republican, a conservative Supreme Court? No, you can forget about it. I don't think it's futile to resist. We know that Democrats are weak when it comes to fighting this, but we also know that our political system is set up, as John is saying, so that, and as Trump is saying, so that when you run the Senate, you kind of run things. Well, guess what? It doesn't have to be that way. We have a chance in November, and constituents of these Republican senators have a chance to voice their opposition. We've seen public pressure work, and I think we need to see it again because we're not playing this time.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.